Hello, everybody. A quick word about today's program. This is one of those episodes where the siblings got a little off track, and because of this episode is a little long. Now, the three of us debated whether we should break this up into two different episodes as we went over 2 hours, but we felt, in the end, it was best for you to hear or see this episode uncut in its entirety. Some of you may have differing opinions than we do over many of the subjects we covered, but I hope when it's all said and done, that whether or not you agree with us, your family, your friends, in the end, you realize that we all share this world together, and you show each other some grace, love, and empathy. I hope you enjoy Episode 8 of SibRiv, the Sibling Rivalry Podcast. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the SibRiv Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Dana, and I'm joined here by my brother and sister, David and Michelle.
Hey.
Hello.
How is everyone doing this week? Michelle, we talked yesterday, obviously, because we had a party for my beautiful wife, Caitlin.
Yep. So you know all about my
I didn't
sleepover
get
with
an
the
invite.
boys. You are across the country. I don't want to hear it.
You invited me to Dana's birthday, and I came. So I'm just saying.
Oh my god. I can't stand you.
Oh, boy.
It was a good time. You missed a good time.
Yeah.
I'm sure I did.
There was a little bit of a sneak preview of today's show, which I was trying to stop because I was trying to save all the good stuff for today.
Yes.
So,
Oh,
which I guess can bring us into today's topic. So, Michelle, why don't you kick us off and let us know what we're talking about today?
All right, so we are talking about unpopular opinions. I'm sure everyone has some. I know the three of us do. So we're just going to dig in and hopefully it'll bring some good laughs and good conversation. And I will start. This may lose me my Bostonian card, but I think the movie The Departed is the stupidest movie ever. There it is.
okay. Hold on. It's one thing to not like it, but to call it stupid,
Okay.
that's a bridge too far.
Okay, fine. I don't think it's stupid, but I hated it. Like, everyone talked about how great this movie was going to be. So great, so great, so great. So, like, years later, I watched it. I watched it in 2018. And I was like, I don't understand what all the hubbub is about. I just don't get it. And then Mike was like, what do you mean? Like, everyone loves this movie. I'm like, well, I do not. And so he went on Facebook and, like, did a poll of, like, is The Departed a good movie or a bad movie? And I was heavily outnumbered. Almost everyone that commented was like, it's a great movie, but the accent sucked. But it's a great movie. No. All of it sucked.
I've only seen it once,
Same. Once was
and
enough.
I thought it was really good. I kind of want to watch it now just because you hate it so much.
I did think about watching it this week just to like make sure that that was still my opinion, but I just don't want to put myself through the 2.5 hours of this terrible movie again. So I didn't. And what's funny is I love a lot of the people in it. Like I like the actors, but I just couldn't stand it. I watched it and I was like, I don't understand. They're dropping F-bombs when they don't need to be. I'm like, this is stupid. I didn't like it.
Have you ever seen a mob movie before?
Have you ever been around people in Boston before?
Yes. And I'm trying to think if I've seen a mob movie. No, probably not.
No
I don't-
Goodfellas?
No, never saw it.
Oh, now listen, I'm just going to warn you. If you watch Goodfellas, which is the greatest mob movie of all time, and you don't like it, I may have to disown you as my sister.
Oh my god. Okay.
Goodfellas is in my top 5 favorite movies of all time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I will put it on the list. I have a long list of movies to watch. So,
Dana, what did you think of Goodfellas?
Oh, Goodfellas is one of my favorite movies of all time. I love
What did you think of
Goodfellas.
What'd you think of The Departed? You also said you thought it was
Yes,
overrated
so
when we talked about this before.
I know it's
Mhm.
my opinion on the Departed is also unpopular here in our hometown of Boston because I think it's overrated. I don't think it's terrible, like Michelle said. I don't think it's like horrible, but I don't think it's this great, epic Boston movie.
Yeah.
There are so many Boston-based movies that are better than The Departed.
The Town,
Like The Town is phenomenal.
phenomenal. Yes.
Haven't seen it.
Gone Baby Gone, incredible. There are so many better movies that are about Boston, take place in Boston, than The Departed. And I don't know if it's in part like I think all the actors. I love all the actors.
Yeah.
I think what maybe bothers me the most about it is Jack Nicholson's character. He's just Jack Nicholson. You know, so I think that might be one of the things that bothers me most about it. I think Mark Wahlberg's character is probably like the most believable in that movie to me. I don't know. I like Leo's all right in that movie, but I just don't think it's like this. I never thought of. I've seen it probably 4 times. It's one of those things where I kept on rewatching it, thinking maybe I would like it more the next time I watched it. And actually, every time I've watched it, I've liked it less and less. And
Yeah,
if I hear
because it's
shipping up to
awful.
Boston, one more time, I might ship myself to the insane asylum.
I actually
So-
love that song though. It really does like
I love the
get
Dropkick
you
Murphys.
pumped up.
I love the Dropkick Murphys, but shipping up to Boston goes hand in hand with The Departed as being completely overrated.
I like that song. But that's probably the only good thing about The Departed.
Dave, how about you? What do you think of The Departed? I know you're going to
Like
diverge on us.
Well, I've only seen The Departed once, and I remember really liking it. I think I saw it back in. It was shortly after it came out. I didn't see it in the theater, but it must have been 2012, 2013 that I saw it. I thought it was great. I didn't think it was on the level of, Goodfellas, Casino. I love mob movies. I think Donnie Brasco was a better movie than that. Carlito's Way was a better movie than The Departed. So it wasn't like top tier, but I didn't think it was terrible. I thought the praise it got, I thought it was pretty well deserved.
You're wrong.
Well,
I can't believe you've never seen The Town, David.
no,
You've
I
never
have
seen
not.
The Town, really?
That to
I've
me is
never
more
seen The Town.
Boston than anything. Like,
Well, I'll watch.
That's a
I'll
super,
watch.
that's a
Yeah.
super, that's a super
I'll watch it
Boston
then.
movie.
yeah, whose car we taking? I love that line. It's so good. Yeah, I love that movie. I do love Ben Affleck though. Like,
You know what? You know what?
Oh, I just love him.
You
Sorry,
know what,
Dave,
I've never
what were you
heard.
gonna say?
That's aside from the fact that I like a lot of his movies. I've never actually heard anyone that's ever like encountered him in person as a person. I've never heard anyone say like a bad thing about him.
No, I don't think you can.
There are 2 movies that I just do not understand why they're such cult hits or why they have any popularity whatsoever. One is another Boston related movie, Boondock Saints, which I don't get why everybody loves that so much. And the other, this is probably going to make people hate me. I can't stand The Big Lebowski. I thought that movie was like a chore to get through. And everybody that I know that considers themselves like hip and cool, they love The Big Lebowski and they quote it. And, the dude is just such a great character. And I'm like, what? Like, who cares?
I have
I don't
never
know, I
seen
just-
that movie.
I would agree with David.
it's
I've never gotten
Nothing
it.
special.
I never got it.
Nothing special. But can I launch into my unpopular opinion?
Oh, I thought that
related
was your
to the movie?
unpopular opinion. But okay, go ahead.
No. Oh no, I got plenty.
Okay.
So I need to preface this a little bit. First off, Shelly, I'm sorry. You're going to have no opinion about this one way or another, and you might think this is a little boring, this conversation.
Okay.
Dana, I think, will have something more to say. You all know that I am a lifelong Star Wars fan, have been since I was a kid, right? I mean, the movie was born a year after I came into the world. Popular opinion says that Empire is the best movie, followed by A New Hope, the first one. And if Jedi gets there, it's certainly among the original trilogy. Everybody
boy.
rates it as the worst.
Oh boy.
I'm telling you right now, everybody is wrong. Return of the Jedi is in fact the best Star Wars movie in the whole series. Empire is great. Empire is overrated. That's the movie that's overrated. It's good. It's not a terrible. I love it. Return of the Jedi, by any metric you want to measure it by, is a superior movie in all ways to Empire. And Dana, I already know what your arguments against it are going to be, and I'll get to that in a minute.
Knock, knock. Go check. Knock, knock.
So
Yeehaw!
there's
What is happening?
The Ewoks.
What is happening?
yeah, the Ewoks. Everybody, now listen, I'm going to do something I don't often do, and I'm going to call out my fellow Gen Xers and on the cusp millennials like my brother. Every single one of you hipster edgelords that are like, Jedi sucks because of the Ewoks. They're so lame. It would have been so much better if they'd gone to Kashyyyk and had Wookiees like Lucas originally thought. No. I saw that movie when it came out in the theater. It was an event. Mom took me. Dana must have been 2. He probably slept through the whole thing, but he actually did go in the theater with us. And Michelle Crowley and her kids.
Oh, wow.
We went to see Return of the Jedi. If you were anywhere between the ages of 5 and 10 when you saw Return of the Jedi, so if you're a Gen Xer or an early millennial, you did not think the Ewoks suck. It's only now in the internet age where you look back and you're like, oh, the Ewoks are so lame. You didn't think that when you were a kid. Like, I don't want to hear this crap. The Ewoks do not ruin that movie.
I loved the Ewoks when I was a kid, but they are kind of lame now.
Why do you think they're lame?
Because they're kind of like pointless to the story, I think.
How so?
I don't see what purpose they serve, really. You could cut the Ewoks out of that movie and it would be just as good of a movie.
I don't think so.
I think you could.
I mean, you needed not maybe necessarily Ewoks in the movie, but you needed that army in the movie to make those scenes work.
An army of rock-throwing teddy bears
Okay.
versus lasers.
I'm glad you brought that up because we know from our own country's history that a military with superior technology can in fact lose a military conflict to a force that is not as well equipped. We know that. And this movie came out, I think, less than 8-9 years after that particular conflict had ended. So that was something that a lot of movies in the 80s did, like Aliens, James Cameron, the second Alien movie. Same thing, right? You had these high-tech, super powerful Marines with the freaking badass guns that they had and everything, and they still got slaughtered. So that was a common theme. We actually know in history you can have a poorly, technologically less developed nation in certain kind of wars, which in Return of the Jedi, that was very much like guerrilla warfare. And a lot of those scenes can come out on top. The one concession I will make that Empire does, I think, better than Return of the Jedi is when we first see, I think it uses John Williams's musical score to a lot greater effect in Empire Strikes Back than Jedi does. Like when we first see the rightful rulers of the galaxy all massing in their and we see Vader and everything, and they're all getting ready to hunt down the rebel terrorists. I mean, it's it just fills you with this sense of awe when you first hear the Imperial March. Michelle probably doesn't know what I'm talking about, but Dana, you know the song I'm talking about.
I know the song you're talking about because you want to know why? Because my husband is a little nerdy. Sorry, honey. And he has the song on his Spotify like song. So when he's cooking, it will come on every now and then. So
and the other thing,
know the song.
Yeah. I honestly don't get why Return of the Jedi doesn't have more praise. I mean, first of all, Princess Leia in that movie is a feminist wet dream, right? So she saves Han's life. She kills Jabba the Hutt.
That's the other thing. That's the other complaint I have about it. Is the Jabba the Hutt thing drags on way too long.
Oh, I disagree, man. They had to wrap up that storyline, and I think they did it pretty well. I think Jedi did what definitely the last movie in the sequel trilogy didn't do was it actually provided answers. And I get that Lucas at the time was changing his ideas and his story ideas and retconning, but at least he addressed everything, and whatever questions you had as the audience got answered. Whereas every other, this last trilogy, they didn't know what the hell they were doing, So that's my unpopular opinion. Return of the Jedi is the best Star Wars movie. And also it was mom's favorite. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I know for a fact it was mom's favorite.
Yes,
Star
because it
Wars
ended
movie.
because it ended happy, and Mom loved happy endings.
Mom loved that Vader's love for his son brought him back to the light side. That was her. That was her whole thing.
Yeah, I've seen these movies once, so I really don't have an opinion. I don't have enough knowledge to have an opinion on this. I just know what everyone around me says, and again, based on that, you're wrong. From what everyone has said to me.
Empire. No. Everybody that loved. I mean, Empire is just. I mean, honestly, it's just like a chase scene. It's kind of like The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi, the bulk of that movie was a chase scene. Empire was the same thing. It was just Empire was more entertaining than The Last Jedi was. I
So
went to see. So Auntie took me to see Empire Strikes Back. I think they must have released it just before Jedi came out because they would do that back then. They'd like reshow the old movies in the theaters. And I remember she took me to see Empire Strikes Back. I don't know if she remembers this or not, but that scene where Vader cuts off Luke's hand and is like, "Join me, and we can overthrow the Emperor and bring order to the galaxy." I remember thinking to myself, like, why doesn't Luke say yes? And I asked Auntie, like, why didn't Luke join Darth Vader? She probably doesn't remember. She may have stuffed it down, you know, not wanting to contemplate her nephew being a budding sociopath. But I was like, why doesn't he just join up? He could. His alternative is to die, or rule the galaxy. To my 5-year-old self, I'm like, pretty simple choice, but
what did Auntie say to you? Do you remember what her response was?
I don't.
She listened, so I really hope she remembers what she said to you. Okay, so say again which one you think is the best one. Because now I
Return of,
have Return of the
Return of
Jedi,
the Jedi is
which
the
you
best Star
refer
Wars
to
movie.
as the Jedi.
Which she's wrong because
No,
it's Rogue
Jedi.
One. Rogue One's the best Star Wars movie.
What? What?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You got to be kidding. It's a great movie. Certainly, probably the best Disney era Star Wars movie.
I did see that one. I did like it.
It
I
was
remember
good.
liking that one. And I saw Han Solo,
We did. We saw Solo.
which is a touchy subject. I probably shouldn't have even brought it up.
Yes.
Well, and now we have to explain the story. So Dave was here on a visit, and it was my birthday weekend. And he was like, "I'm here. Let's hang out. We'll go to the movies." And so we went to the movies to see Han Solo. And then Dana found out and was like, "You guys didn't think to invite me." And either one of us were like, "Oh yeah, why didn't we?" Like,
Well,
why
no,
didn't
there is
we?
no, because we went to a matinee on a Monday.
I'm Mr. Lonely.
It was a Monday.
I have no brother and sister. Don't want to hang out with me. I'm so lonely.
It was a Monday at like noon. We went to a matinee and we did say, should we invite Dana? And then we're like, he's probably working.
And then you were like, no. So thoughtful. I love you two so much.
We love you too. We do. It was a momentary lapse of judgment. We're sorry. We're
Well,
very
I'm sorry anyway.
All right. Anything else about Star Wars?
No, we can move on.
We have lost our audience. No, I'm just kidding. I am very curious about what my brother-in-law is going to think of this conversation. So I'll be interested to hear his opinion on this. Because
I think
Mike's side is very Star Wars.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know.
I think if people really stop and look at it from a storytelling perspective and from a movie making perspective, Return of the Jedi really is superior to Empire. Empire Strikes Back is a great movie, and I give it its props because it's better than the original. It was a sequel that was better than the original movie, which doesn't happen that often. but Jedi tops them all.
Okay. Dana.
Yeah,
hit
someone
us.
that would ditch their brother would believe that.
Dana, why don't you hit us with your unpopular opinion?
All right, well, everyone buckle in because I'm about to piss off the world.
Let's hear it.
Okay, well, my unpopular opinion is that I think that the Beatles are one of the most overrated bands of all time. I don't think...
Thank you. I agree.
What are you guys talking about?
Yep.
Ha-
I mean, yeah, they're the most basic band, cookie cutter, golden oldies era rock band, and everyone thinks they broke all this new ground, and all they did was lifted from other better artists and basically stole their style.
This is blasphemy.
No, it's not. It's really not. I mean, you can look back in the era of music just before them and pull things like Chuck Berry. Like they just stole the style of other better artists and then claimed it as their own, and they get credit for being this great transcendental, time shifting, earth shattering rock band, and they're just plain basic cookie cutter copycats, basically. And not that all their music is terrible. I actually like some of their songs, but they are extremely overrated. I've never gotten why people love them so much. I know Mom would be really upset with me right now because she loved the Beatles. And, I happen to have basically all of Mom's Beatles albums. So I have like 50 Beatles albums in my collection, vinyl albums that are probably worth some money. But I never got it. And
Oh my God.
so come at me, world. They're not that good. Okay? They're not that good.
I think they
They
are.
got like
that
three. They got like three real good songs, and even those songs are kind of mediocre at best.
I can't help but notice that you waited until Mom had passed into the great beyond before.
No, I've actually.
Which
I
is
have
probably the
long-
wise decision.
I've long held this position, and I've voiced this position to people before.
Did you voice it to Mom?
Yes, I actually had this conversation with Mom before, and I
You're a
always
braver
told
man
her.
than I.
I told her that it was kind of like a nostalgia bias. I think she had that. She just remembered being younger, and she remembers growing up with the music, and that gives her a better feeling about it and makes her think it was maybe better than it really was.
Wow.
So, come at me.
I am shocked. I'm
Catch
shocked.
me outside. How about that?
Oh my God. Wow, I do not think they're overrated. Wow. They're like, classic. I don't think I've ever met anyone that didn't like the Beatles besides Dwight Schrute on The Office. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand what's happening here. Wow. Okay. Well, I can maybe top that.
Really?
Yes, but I think Dana's going to agree. We've had there was one remark I made and he made one remark and then we never talked about it again. So I feel like he might agree and I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. I don't think that Taylor Swift has a very good voice.
So, you are trying to send Swifty Nation after us, aren't you?
No. Let me explain. I think she is awesome. I when her songs are on, I listen to them. They're catchy. She can write music really well. She can write lyrics really well. She's a great performer. I just if she was on like a singing voice, I don't know that not a singing. If she was on like a voice competition, a singing competition, I don't know that she would get very far is what I'm saying.
If not for algorithms, she would not be very far. Her songs, her music, her lyrics she writes and co-writes with other people. Mm-hmm. But the music for her songs is basically written by algorithms. She does not write her own music. And this is like directly from one of her record producers. I listened to an interview a couple years ago on NPR. And like like her older music, her actual country music. She wrote a lot of her own music.
Yeah.
Which I've always kind of been partial to the older Taylor Swift music because
Me
it
too.
was
I like her
actually
country stuff.
it was stuff that she actually wrote by herself. But basically, she writes her lyrics, and they have like algorithms to determine what the best melodies would be that would be catchy pop hits, and the music is in large part written by algorithms effectively. The lyrics she writes and co-writes with other people, but this is like, like I said, this is from a record producer, but
I mean, don't get me wrong. I want to make it clear. I like Taylor Swift. Like
her
I
songs
said,
are super catchy.
when her songs
I actually
are
like her
on,
music.
I am jamming out. I don't want to like say that I don't like her or appreciate everything that she's done. I love Taylor Swift, but I just don't think that I think if I heard her in a bar, I don't think that I would stop and be like, "Oh my God, her voice is amazing." And I feel the same way about Ed Sheeran. I don't know why. Super
He's got a
nice
good voice.
guy.
He's
See,
got a good
I
voice.
don't think so. There are certain songs where they're on and they anger me cuz I
Really?
just yes. I don't like it. And I have to turn it off or change the channel or skip it if it comes up on a playlist. There are some songs of his that I love and I will turn up and I'm dancing and singing in the car. But for the most part, I'm like, "Nah, I don't get it."
What about you? What do you think, Dave?
I am
Indifferent?
100% completely indifferent to all things Taylor Swift, which will probably also anger Swifty Nation and have them come in with the pitchforks. But I don't have any strong feel. I literally have no feelings about Taylor Swift one way or the other at all.
Even watching all the NFL stuff with her, it was like the NFL or fans were up in arms about how often she was shown on TV, which I don't get what that was all about. Like, just whatever, let them show who they're going to show. You don't have any thoughts on that either?
No,
Oh, wow.
actually, that touches on another unpopular opinion that I have
Oh, let's hear it.
regarding celebrities.
Okay.
So I think, and maybe you guys would agree with this or not, but it seems most regular people in this country feel that celebrities should not be talking about anything like politics or larger issues because they're celebrities, right? So it's like they're not staying in their lane. And I think that rubs a lot of people the wrong way when celebrities do that. Would you agree? That's how I see it anyway.
Yes.
I
This
think
is not-
people don't agree with it. Yes.
Here's my
caveat to that. There's a caveat to that. They don't agree with it when they speak up about something that they don't agree with.
Right.
When they're saying something they agree with, it's all fine.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah. My unpopular opinion is that celebrities have just as much of a right to spout out their stupid bullcrap as us regular normies. And
I agree
it
with
seems
you.
it's like when people get angry that don't get me wrong, celebrities like George Clooney will say something, I'll be like, this guy's a freaking whatever. Like, he's so divorced from reality sometimes. But I'm not going to be like, he shouldn't say that. He shouldn't be out there saying this. People that are rich should just be doing like whatever it is they do, like just play basketball or just, play baseball or just act. And it's like, well, us regular normies are saying stupid crap on social media all the time. What? I mean, it is a free country, I think. I mean, celebrities should be allowed the same latitude. So that's my unpopular opinion. Celebrities should not get so much criticism for speaking their minds, even if what they're saying is stupid.
Yeah, I kind of get that. I think that when people are in a position to have a platform and they can do some good with it, like I like when I see people that are involved in, celebrities involved in like charities and they're like supporting that. Like to me, they should be doing that. They have the means to do that. So I don't mind if people use their platform to speak whatever they want to speak. It's up to us watching on their Instagram stories if we agree with it or not.
You have a right not to listen.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. If
You
I
don't
don't
have to
want to
listen
hear
to them.
it, I'll just skip it, scroll past it. Like, yeah, I agree. I do think that is an unpopular opinion, though.
Yes,
I think you're
it
right
is.
about that, but I don't think in this setting. I think we agree with you.
But it shouldn't be an unpopular opinion if you think about it. Like, I mean, this is America, and you're supposed to have a right to free speech regardless of who you are. I wonder if the people that say that they shouldn't say anything, well, obviously a big part of it is they don't agree with what they're saying. another part of it is they don't have the person that's angry about it doesn't have the same platform.
Right.
You know, if they had the same platform, would they feel the same? Like if they could counteract whatever they're saying with their own equally powerful platform, would it be as big of a deal? I don't know, but
Right. Yeah. I have a weird one. So, I don't think anyone is going to agree with me on this, but say you're at work, right, and you do something that is part of your everyday job, like you send an email or whatever, and you're like, hey, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then the person writes back, thanks. I do not write back, you're welcome. And on top of that, I hate when I write thanks back or you the text, whatever, Teams or email, whatever, and I get a you're welcome back. I hate it. I hate it. Stop saying you're welcome. I assume that me doing whatever this task is that you thank me, that's good. And I assume I just stop wasting my time with thank you emails and text messages. Not thank yous. You're welcome. Sorry.
are you listening, Caitlin? Okay. If she says thanks, just leave it, okay? Because you're going to get her mad at you.
Yeah, just leave it. I feel like maybe I'm rude because I'm not like, oh, you're welcome, because I usually just say yep, no problem, because it's not a problem. It's my job to do whatever I just did, or if I wanted to do this thing for you, it's fine. You don't need to tell me. It's fine if you want to tell me thanks, but I'm not going to say you're welcome.
I don't know. If someone says thanks, it is kind of rude not to say no problem or something. Really? You don't say anything in return?
I'll say no problem, every now and then, but I just will never email back or text back you're welcome.
I can't
ever.
Be bothered to say you're welcome.
It's stupid. I wish I had a more specific example, but
well,
I don't.
You can't be bothered to invite your brother to a movie, so I guess we can't expect you to be bothered to say you're welcome to people when they show gratitude.
I don't know. I don't need a you're welcome. I guess maybe it's a me problem. If I say thanks to you, I don't need you to reply you're welcome. I just assume you are. You know what I mean? I just can't stand it.
Maybe it's just not so much that as frustration over the other person not wanting to just let the conversation end and move on. It's artificial. Does it make it feel like you'd have to be artificially extending a conversation when you're just ready to move on?
Maybe. I think it's more a time and a clutter thing. I hate also when people this is more of a work thing, but I hate when I get a Teams or an email that's hey. I'm okay, it should be hi. This is my problem. What should I do? Can you help me with this? Blah, blah, blah. Instead of hey. And then I have to respond hey, what's up? Drives me crazy. I think it's a time efficiency thing for me. I think I need just don't waste my time. I think that's really what it comes down to. I don't like it. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but it's just how I feel.
Well, related to that, my unpopular opinion is I hate the freaking Bostonian 9-hour goodbye when you're all leaving a place.
We experienced this yesterday.
So
Google agrees with you, Shelley. It's not universally considered rude to not say it. So
okay, yeah, okay. Well, I'm glad that AI agrees with me. Maybe the robots, when they rise, will remember that. But I have a group. My best friend, and her family. We have family dinner. That's what we call it. And we will go over there and we will start to say goodbye at 6:00, say. And we call it the goodbye tour because we won't actually leave until 6:30, 7:00, because we say goodbye, we hug, and then we go, oh, chat. And then something else will happen and we walk a couple of steps closer to the door and then it's oh, wait, hold on. Did we schedule this and blah, blah, blah. We call it the goodbye tour. It's an ongoing running joke.
It's a common thing. Everybody seems to do it back home. When I say, all right, I guess it's time for me to leave, that means I have been visited enough. I am done. I don't want to chit chat. I don't want to go through the whole 45 minutes later, I've gone from the couch 3 feet towards the door because I'm still in no, like I'm done. We're done. It was great. I'll treasure the memories all the time. And now I just want to go the F home.
Yeah, we had a full Italian goodbye
Oh, yes.
yesterday.
And I love it. I'm there
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah, I actually do. It depends, but most of the time I don't mind the Italian goodbye. Unless I have somewhere to be, then I'm like, oh my God, we gotta go, we gotta go. But generally, if I'm like, whatever, sure, I'm like, yeah, we can have a goodbye tour for an hour and a half. That's fine.
Well, seeing as at times I like to recharge, out on my own like an introvert, but I also enjoy recharging myself often in social situations
Don't
as
do
well.
it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
And I am such an ambivert. I love the long goodbyes because I'm an ambivert. I can do both. And I enjoy spending time with people, as much time with people. And I might grate on people sometimes because I don't want to go. I don't want good times to end. Like literally going to Shelly and Mike's house. I could go visit them. I would be fine, just fine. I would probably drive them crazy, but I would be just fine visiting them at like 11 in the morning and staying until 11 at night playing games and stuff.
Yeah, I would, and I
love
would be
visiting
fine
people.
with that.
I love
Yeah.
visiting people and spending time with them because I get my recharge in social situations too. I was saying to Caitlin, like, when I'm introverted is like when I'm like in the car. I prefer to be like in the car alone. That's when I like to do my introverted recharge, is in like in the car. But in like public out in social situations, I would much rather be with people. So the long goodbyes don't bother me at all. Anything we can do to extend those good times, I'm all for it.
I always get a little sad on Christmas when everyone starts to like pack up and leave, or at the end of like a party, like, my birthday or Mike's birthday party, and like everyone's leaving. I'm like, oh, I'm like, you guys don't want to stay and like hang out? And because I feel like that's where bonds are made, is like when some people leave and then like your core people stay, and there's like chit chat and tea is
Especially, like-
spilled, and
Especially
like,
thinking about like if you
I
think
love
about
it.
the
You have
Christmas
heart to
Eves.
hearts, like, oh, so good.
Think about like all the Christmas Eves we used to have on kids when people would stay over until like 1 in the morning, 2 in
Yeah.
the morning. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never had a problem, but like I said, I probably drive other people crazy because I would stay all day. if they
Yeah.
let me.
No, I love it. I'm the same way.
Well,
But I can
don't
also,
mind.
I'm also generally, I can read people pretty well, so I can tell when they're getting tired of me. So I usually know when it's time to leave as well, as much as I may not want to. I also don't want to spend time with someone that doesn't want to spend any more time with me. So
That's true.
I can usually find the cues and be like, all right, I'm going to take off.
Yeah.
I actually had someone say that to me once. They're like, you always know the exact right time to say goodbye. I'm like, okay.
That's a nice little compliment, huh?
I
Like,
think,
that you
or
can
it's
read-
backhanded. I'm not
that
quite
you
sure.
can like read. Well, you're like socially aware,
Yeah.
Like that's good. Dave, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I don't mind a long visit. What I don't like is the extended goodbye itself. Like when I say I'm ready to go, don't stand in my way. Like don't throw up obstacles in my path. Just accept it. I'm leaving. I don't need to get any more time. It's your signal. I love you. I love spending time with you.
Goodbye.
But I'm done today. I'm done with you today.
Mike will still use the you ready? When he's been visited enough, and I'm
Oh.
like, okay, it's time to go.
Dave does the same
Sometimes you have-
thing.
That's
Dave does
where
the-
he
that's
got
where
it
he
from.
got it.
Notice when he's
That's
ready to
where-
wrap up. Whenever he's ready to wrap up the podcast, he's like, "So, are we ready to wrap this up?"
Well, you know what? In a world of a bunch of aimless people that would just like chit chat all day, somebody needs to step in and provide some direction. That person has to be me. Apparently. Since I can't trust people to like know when it's time to go, I have to tell them.
Oh my god.
How are the goodbyes in Vietnam?
Oh, it's hard. It's hard. When I left, Hawaii actually stood while I went, because in you can't check in online in Vietnam. You have to go to the counter when you get to the airport and check in that way.
Mhm.
So she just stood there Well, I waited like 20 minutes in the line to check in. Then I had to go through like the immigration process, and I was still within sight. So she was just standing there watching, and we'd like wave to each other.
Did
And
you
then
hate
like
that?
I hated it because I could tell she didn't want me to go. I didn't want to go either. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but that's different.
But you
Well,
didn't hate having to be like,
I wasn't saying goodbye to her.
waving,
Like
and
obviously saying goodbye to her would be difficult. I'm talking about
Yeah.
like when you're out with their family and friends. How are the goodbyes when everyone's like done for the night or whatever? How are their goodbyes?
Pretty. They are very acceptably efficient. It's like everybody has a good time. You know, handshakes and smiles all around, and then you go your separate ways. It's lovely. It's lovely.
You
I
found
was
your
thinking-
people. You
I was
found
thinking,
your
I was like-
people. Like, you found your person for sure.
I was like, can I set up some training with my friends and family with some of my
Did is Hawaii's family a huggy family like we are?
No, Vietnam is not really a hugging culture.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Hope she's
I
ready
have
if she ever
I have
comes.
prepared. I have prepared her. I said you are going to get lots of hugs from family members that you have never met before.
Yeah. At the beginning of the visit and at the end of the visit.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. It's like family rule.
And everyone that comes in between.
Yeah.
Yes.
greet.
You gotta hug them. Yeah.
She could potentially end up getting about 50 to 60 hugs by the end of the day.
Oh my god.
As David would like to say, I've been hugged enough.
I've been hugged enough. I've been visited enough. I wish I could remember the word for that. We had the term. It was a German term, I think. Oh, so good. What else? What else you guys got?
All the rest of my unpopular opinions are political in nature. So
Okay.
Okay, well, fire at it. Come on, we got time. Let's hear it.
Well, I'll give you one that's not. I mean, it might be turning into.
You guys are so afraid.
Politics.
You guys are so afraid of politics. You're so afraid of them.
You were the one who said we maybe don't want to talk about politics
Right away.
Yeah.
We're almost 10 weeks into this podcast now.
You
People have gotten
were
to know
the
us enough
one.
now. People have gotten to know us enough now. They're comfortable. I think enough people like us by now that we can start talking a little bit about politics. We might not make them too mad at us. I mean, we've already alienated a bunch of people. Like, you've already committed complete heresy, Shelley, by saying Taylor Swift can't sing. So
You
I mean-
agreed with me one time, though. You agreed.
No, she does not have a very good voice. I agree.
Yes.
She writes amazing lyrics, and her songs are actually really good
Yes.
and catchy. And so she's got some good bangers.
Yeah. I have one that's not super political, but it might turn into it. I believe that just because a couple that is not married gets pregnant, that they should get married.
Do you think
You want
they
me-
should?
No, I don't think they need to get married.
So why is that unpopular?
I don't think that's an unpopular opinion.
Is it 'cause
Really?
you're Christian?
Oh, maybe.
So you have the Christian view of it?
Maybe.
So it would be unpopular in the Christian community? Although
Possibly.
getting pregnant at all before marriage would be
Yeah,
very
well,
unpopular.
yes. But I just think a lot of people think like, oh, you're having a baby, you need to get married, but I don't think you need to.
I don't know if people in general these days feel that way.
Yeah, that's kind of an old-fashioned thing.
Oh, okay. So maybe I have an old-fashioned,
The old-fashioned
unpopular
The
opinion.
old-fashioned shotgun wedding.
Yeah. Anyway, that was one of mine. Okay, so not so political.
That was super controversial.
That was very controversial.
I can't stand you either. I can't stand either one of you today. So, we ready? Wrap this up. Dana, you've only had one unpopular opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
You must
Alright.
have another one.
I don't know if this is really unpopular. This is actually an unpopular like. I guess in my age group, specifically amongst straight white males in their 40s, this is unpopular. But I think that Justin Bieber is really a really good artist. And I love his music.
I also love his music. I have one of
So.
his CDs, like actual,
Mhm.
physical CDs.
Yep. Catchy. I think he actually has a pretty decent voice.
Yep.
And maybe I feel like he's probably had some trauma, and I kind of relate to some of that trauma too. But
Oh, I think he has gone through a lot.
yeah.
A lot.
So yeah,
Yes.
I'm a believer, baby, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. Come at me.
Dave, are you a believer?
Justin Bieber's another celebrity that I am completely indifferent to.
I know who you're not indifferent to. Queen.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going
This
there.
is all right. Yeah, this is an
We're gonna
unpopular
go
opinion.
here.
This is a
We're
very
gonna go
unpopular
here,
opinion in my household. I can tell you that.
Yes, it is. Let me just first wish Caitlin a happy birthday. After I'm done talking, she's never going to speak to me again, so I don't know when I'll have another chance. I think Queen, in my mind, is an overrated band. I know. I get they're one of those bands that mean like their music means a lot to their fans, and I understand that. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying that they're terrible. I'm just saying I've never caught that bug. I've never really seen the appeal. It just doesn't. They don't click with me. I'm not gonna trash them.
You should probably apologize to Patty and Alan too, because they love Queen as well.
Oh, do they?
Yes.
Sorry, everybody.
You are. Yeah, it's amazing that you are in like a Queen loving family. And
I know.
You have this opinion,
Yeah.
but
Wow.
we did tell Caitlin about this, and I said
The look on her face.
she was mortified.
She
but I
was
said, don't take it. I said, don't take it too seriously or too to heart. His favorite band is Slayer, after all. He's not exactly the music critic of the year.
Hold on now. My musical taste is actually very, very eclectic.
Well, you
There
don't
are-
like the Beatles, and now you don't like Queen.
There's a lot of music out there that I really genuinely enjoy that I think would surprise you all.
Like what?
Okay, like what?
Fire it off.
Taylor
Johnny
Swift.
Cash.
No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Oh yeah.
Johnny
Oh,
Cash.
come on. Who doesn't like Johnny Cash? That's an easy one. That's like a layup. Hey,
Lady
Larry
Gaga.
Bird. Everybody likes Lady Gaga. Well, not everybody, I guess.
I would
No,
not
not
have
everybody.
put David in the Lady Gaga camp.
Yeah.
though.
Well, she is super talented. I can see David liking
Yeah.
people that are super talented.
I have a definite appreciation for people who are very talented, right? So like Queen, I'm not saying that, I mean, they're clearly good musicians, right? Like they clearly know how to write songs. It's just, they don't click with me. But that doesn't mean that I think they suck. I'm not saying they're bad. You know what I mean? That's all.
I have a question for you both. What are your thoughts on musicals? Like
Oh.
theater,
I hate musicals. I hate them. I hate them with the white hot burning passion of 1,000 suns. I despise musicals. I love music. I despise musicals. I hate it. I especially hate it when I'm watching a TV show that's really cool and they decide to do the musical episode. Oh my God. I want to find who thought that would be a good idea. Let's do an episode that's a musical. And I want to kick them in the genitalia repeatedly as many times as I can.
So do you not like it when Barney and Ted sang on How I Met Your
No.
Mother?
I hate
Because there's like
I-
2 or 3 music episodes in that
They're
series.
yeah, when they do this random musical, I love How I Met Your Mother, but those scenes, I'm in like a state of perpetual cringe the whole time. I'm like, I can't do this.
Not
But-
surprising. I mean, he's already let us know about his feelings of people breaking out into song, and musicals are literally people breaking
True.
out into song.
That is true.
But the problem is when they do it in a TV show that has like an overarching story, you can't just skip a musical episode because they usually put very important plot points in the musical episode. So you have no choice but to watch it.
Grey's Anatomy did one, and it was awful. It was awful.
If you've been hearing that sound, it's the sound of my soul vomiting.
Oh my god.
That's what I think of musicals.
Okay. Good to know.
Related to my irrational hatred of people just randomly breaking out into song.
Yeah, like Dana did at the top of the show, singing "Lonely." I thought about that.
I could see the fire in David's
the
eyes.
smoke coming out of his ears.
Yeah.
I love a good musical, but duh.
A good musical is the key word. Good.
Yeah, I mean, I like most.
The very
musicals.
definition
I
of
like
an
Broadway. I
oxymoron.
like, yeah. Oh my god. So we'll never find you.
Don't
like,
ever say that to Uncle Dana. He loves the sound of music.
We're just
Sorry.
alienating everybody.
We are just
Whose idea was
setting the
this?
world on fire.
So we'll never find Dave sitting, watching a musical, eating cheesecake.
I got those tickets to Hamilton for us too. I don't know what I'm gonna do now.
I want to see Hamilton. I haven't seen it yet. I'm always a little slow. Like, I wait until all the hype is over and then I'll watch. Like, that's why I haven't watched Wicked yet. I haven't watched any of that stuff yet. Gotta wait for
Not
the
that I would
hype
ask
to be
you
over.
if I ever got tickets to anything. Not that I would ask you guys if you wanted to go.
Oh my god. Wait, Dave, tell everyone about your cheesecake issue. I wanna hear more about your cheesecake.
Didn't we talk about this already?
Our viewers have not heard about your cheesecake.
Yeah, they heard a clip of you ranting about something, but they're not sure what that
about
was.
shit sandwiches.
Yeah.
Cheesecake is the most overrated dessert in the history of humankind. It looks like congealed bird shit with blueberries poured on top or some berry thing. I don't understand. I've had one bite in my life. It tasted disgusting. I don't understand why. I don't get it. Like, I can't wrap my head around why people rave about it so much. I don't understand why it got its own restaurant. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
'Cause
I've
it's
never
so
been into a
good.
cheesecake. I've never been into a cheesecake factory.
Well,
and I
why
never
would
will.
you? Like, that people go to the Cheesecake Factory to get cheesecake.
Because if you have a group of friends and they want to go out for a birthday, that's usually one of the places that seems to be very popular.
Interesting.
I hate cheesecake. So I
Really?
agree.
I love cheesecake.
Caitlin loves cheesecake. I hate cheesecake.
I love cheesecake.
Look at it. Look at it.
Oh, it's so good. But I like a strawberry. I like one with a berry, like a
I mean, if you-
raspberry white chocolate cheesecake is my favorite. If
Like,
there is
no, just-
chocolate in the cheesecake, I don't like it.
Look at this. Like you're just imagine somebody sets that down in front of you. Doesn't
Yeah.
have the berries on it. It's like, is this tofu? Is it egg based? Is it like the insulation you find in somebody's house that's just been like, you know? I don't know. No, I think cheesecake is disgusting in all ways.
You know what I find equally disgusting?
What?
Yogurt.
Oh, I like yogurt.
This is probably an unpopular opinion. I cannot stand yogurt. Actually, Mom had this. Mom was like the only other person I knew that had the same hatred
Yeah.
of yogurt that I did.
She did not like yogurt.
Smell yogurt and I instantly want to vomit. I drive Caitlin nuts because she will eat yogurt. She'll wash the container out. She'll throw it outside. I will walk in the house like 2 hours later and I'll smell it. And I'll say, "You ate yogurt today." And she goes, "How do you know?" Like, that's all I can smell. It permeates everything. The
very
vomit-inducing
strong
smell just permeates everything, burns my nostrils. I cannot stand yogurt. Can't stand it. Keep your yogurt away from me, people, okay? Go stand in the bathroom, huddled in the bathroom stall, and eat your yogurt, because I don't want to smell it.
You know what? Yogurt itself doesn't bother me, but one thing that irritates the living shit out of me is when people have yogurt, like the little, and they get to the end of it and they're constantly scraping the spoon to like get the
But
last
it's got
bit.
the fruit at the bottom. It's so good. Look
it's
me
just-
at my Yo Crunch. I get the little granola too. Doesn't it look so good? Doesn't it make it look less like vomit when it's all chunky like this? It's so good. Look at my yogurt.
It's good. It's good for you guys. It's good for you.
Oh,
I
It
like
gives me
yogurt.
the microbiomes in my stomach so I can be regular. It's so good for you.
It is good for
Get
you.
out of here. It's crap smelling bacteria that you're putting in your body that makes you have bad breath.
Well, they load it with sugar. They load it with sugar, so it's not good for you.
Well, no, there are some
There's
that
zero
do
sugar.
not.
Look, it's zero sugar. It's way better.
It is way better. Whatever.
Yogurt sucks.
I'm trying to think of a food that I like hate with this passion. I don't think I have one. There are foods that if I never ate again, it would be, like if I never had a snickerdoodle again in my life, it would, like if that was the only dessert on the table, I probably wouldn't eat it. Like a snickerdoodle cookie, I'm like, meh, I'm good. Like I don't have a hatred of food the way you guys do. I don't think.
Mushrooms. I hate mushrooms.
Oh, I like mushrooms. I used to not like them. I like them now.
I don't. I just tried mushrooms again for the second time, and they were okay. They were in a ramen, so I ate it, but I don't know that I'll go back to a mushroom.
For me, they have to be fresh. I don't like canned mushrooms. I like fresh mushrooms cooked, not like raw or whatever. They have to be like grilled or whatever. As long as they're fresh, I like them. Canned mushrooms, I can't do. I can taste the tin.
Yeah. I think that way with most canned veggies now,
Yeah.
honestly, because now I do a lot of like the fresh produce versus the canned stuff now, and I can taste the difference. Which before I couldn't because that was all I ever ate was like the canned stuff. But once you go fresh, you can taste the difference. But
These unpopular opinions seem relatively tame when I
It
reflect.
sounds like Dave was hoping for a fight
I
today.
know. Do you want to talk about one political thing, Dave? Do you want to
Do you have anything you just want to get off your chest?
light the match, light it?
Well, you're
Go
you
ahead,
should be
make
cut-
my
if-
day.
I was gonna say if you want someone to light the political match, you need to talk to the radical lefty lunatic over there because that's their specialty.
Okay, excuse me. Unpopular opinion. Unpopular opinions coming in from Dana. I'm going to be dropping unpopular opinion bombs. I'm sorry that I don't think that countries should be bombing children. I'm sorry that I think that we should take care of our citizens and make sure they have good health care. I'm sorry that we should make sure our kids have a good education and that we should take care of the kids in special education and not pull all that money away from them. Oh, that makes me such a bad person. Oh, I'm so bad because I want to take care of people. Oh, I'm so unpopular.
So pretentious. That's my unpopular opinion.
What's that?
When people express their political opinions, they don't do it because they actually believe these things. They do it because they want everybody to know, look what a good person I am. Look how much I care about the
Yeah,
world
that's not what I'm
around
doing
me
at all,
and
David.
society.
You know full well that's not what I'm doing at all.
You guys have the
I-
same mock voice, just FYI. Just putting that. You guys sound exactly the same. It's got to be a brotherly thing.
We're gonna have a fight now because David knows that's not what I'm doing. He knows I really believe that stuff. He knows I really believe that everyone should have health care. Not because I think I'm a good person, because I think that's the basically human good thing to do. I don't think that we should be bombing kids in other countries
I don't
and
either.
cheering it on. Like, it's.
I agree with you with everything that you said during your rant. I agree with you. I don't know that anybody's cheering on bombing children.
Do you want me to pull
or
up
maybe-
Twitter and watch all the,
Okay, I don't go on Twitter. I don't pay much attention to social media when I can get away with it because again, I don't need to listen to everybody with their pseudo intellectual political arguments that they throw out. Or they'll find something on Twitter that somebody wrote that they, because it sounds like poetic they assume it just must have some validity, and like that's not how I look at the world. Like the reality is, people always, like my friends that I do talk about more serious issues with, they always tell me like, oh, you just like to argue, you just like to argue, and that's actually not true. You can actually change my mind. My mind can be changed. You're just not going to do it if you're leading with emotion. If you're just basing everything on how you feel, I don't care about your insignificant little feelings. I care about reality, like the actual reality of it, which is why I don't really fall into the cult of any particular political figure, whether it's like the orange guy or AOC or Bernie or whoever. They're just theatrical. That's all it is. It's performative. They don't actually care about making the world a better. I think regular people like Dana, right, and me and Shell, I think we care about society. I think we care about these things that Dana talked about, but I don't think the politicians that say they do, I don't think they care. I really genuinely don't. And I think anybody who does believe that some political leader in this country is going to somehow fix things or make it better is being monumentally naive. I have beachfront property in Kentucky to sell you if you really think that our elected representatives care even the slightest little bit about everyday regular people. They care about lining their pockets and staying in office, and that's it.
Yeah, I always say that the voting that you do in your own community is where you really make your impact.
A difference. Yeah. That was, I don't even know if that was a rant. That was just a sanctimonious lecture.
Being someone that serves in my local community government, I can tell you that a lot of that stuff that happens on the national level does in fact affect us. And that's part of the reason why I'm passionate about some of this stuff, is because now I'm, as an official in my town, I'm dealing with some of the shortfalls of the funding cuts that the government is doing, the federal government is doing to our state and henceforth to us at the local level.
Yeah, and I'm a manager at a community mental health program, and we are facing the same reality, right? So yes, what happens at the national level does affect us at the local level. I'm not arguing against that. What I'm saying is everybody that you see go on TV or in front of Instagram that puts out social media videos or gets in front of the camera and they start moralizing on threats to democracy, or, we need to protect our children, or whatever the case might be, like all the different stuff that people throw out there, they're all just, they exist in an entirely different realm than the average American living in this country. They have nothing in common with us. They don't care about us. Hence why we're seeing all these cuts across the board right now, right? All of this cuts in funding, we're seeing that because the people that hold the reins of power are like, we don't even have to pretend to give a shit anymore. People will still support us. And I do think it's a both sides issue. I get a lot of flack for that. But to me, the Democrats and the Republicans, they are two sides of one coin, because we have, it's like what, 6 mega corporations that control all the different media outlets, that control all the entertainment outlets. Like whoever controls the flow of information basically controls society. And if you have like one mega corporation overseeing all these other different media conglomerates, you're not getting an objective viewpoint and you're not getting the facts. You might think you are, but you're not.
Except more and more people now get their facts from like independent media now on the internet.
Because
less and less people rely on those corporations now.
Yeah, because the mainstream media basically lied.
And shot themselves. They completely shot themselves in the foot and ruined all their credibility with people. So,
I mean, you look at like what journalism used to be, and you look at, and I'm talking mainstream wise now. I'm not, but you look at, I don't know how many times I've seen headlines from, I'm talking like the big legacy, mainstream media, or the current people, journalists right now, that really they're just presenting their opinion as a fact. They're taking what happens.
I was saying this to Shelley yesterday. This is like, people don't understand anymore. The viewer and the person that's consuming the content, they don't understand anymore that we don't have journalists anymore. We have commentators. They're commentating on what's going on. They're not presenting you with news anymore. They're just saying, here's my opinion on what happened. Like, and people don't realize that's not journalism. That's commentation. they're commentating on the events. They're not giving you the news, because the news, by the book, should be objective. Here's the facts.
Here's the truth.
But part of the problem is that people just pick and choose what truth they want to believe now. So they go to the commentator that they agree with, and they call that their news. And that's one of the big problems now with the news media.
Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of posts on social media and people sharing things from both sides, and I always say, like, did you look to see if what you posted is even a true story? Did that really happen? Did you do any sort of research to make sure that this reel or whatever, this information that you have now shared on your page is actually legit? Like, is anyone checking that? Because I would probably say 99% are not checking before they share if what they've just seen is actually true.
There is a well, I don't want to call anybody out. I was gonna give an example of that, because I have been seeing people on Facebook posting some of those things, and then like some of their friends and family actually post, like, fact checking them, and in a polite, pleasant way, and making the person realize that basically what they posted was wrong, or inaccurate. So I don't know. So I think when you see that stuff, I never say anything. Like, when someone posts something that's you can just tell is factually inaccurate. I
just keep scrolling because my life is too short to argue on Facebook.
It gets exhausting. It's exhausting. But on the other hand, like, I really don't want. I really worry when people believe things that just are factually incorrect, because when your baseline of belief is something that's completely wrong, then every building block after that is based on a complete lie, which completely skews your whole viewpoint on reality. And then you end up with people living in different realities. And that's part of the reason why I think society right now is in such the mess it is, because we have people that are living in completely different realities, because we have people, like Dave said, on both sides that have completely based their views on falsehoods. And this happens with liberal media, and it happens with conservative media, and they base their opinions on the commentators that are giving them their news on things that are just simply untrue. And just a little bit of research and looking into it could show them that baseline belief they have is inaccurate, and that they could adjust those views and be more aligned with other people if they just looked at the facts. But I don't know if people are too lazy, or people just want to be fed what they already believe. I've always been like open-minded. So yeah, I mean, I joke that I'm a radical lefty. I'm probably just more slightly left of center, because I have very, very liberal views in some areas, and I have probably more conservative views in other areas. But I just base my views on like common sense and information, and I'm never afraid to change my views and admit when I'm wrong. So like my views on things are ever evolving too. And I think a lot of people get like handcuffed into their belief systems, and they so identify with whatever political belief. They see that political belief as themselves. They can't separate themselves from that political belief. And then it ends up ruining friendships and families. And like, you have to be able to separate your political beliefs from who you are as a person. And you have to be willing to like look at the facts and evolve your opinions based on what's presented to you, rather than just
never happen.
It's sad, because like, I guess people just don't have, like, most people don't have the ability to do that, unfortunately.
Well, I've said this to you guys before, and I said it yesterday when we were having this conversation, that life is not black and white. There's a lot of gray in life, and for some reason we're now living in a very like black or white. You either have to believe this or you believe that, and there's no middle ground anymore. And I don't know when that changed, but like, life is gray. There are gray areas, I don't know. I just don't understand how either side can believe in one person, not even like just the.
It changed with the dawn of the internet becoming more and more mainstream, because the internet gave voices to the more extreme. They gave it amplified the more extreme voices on either side. So the more extreme voices are telling you, you have to be all this or you have to be all that. And if you're not all this, then you're our enemy. And if you're not all that, then you're their enemy. You know what I mean? Like, so those extreme voices get amplified.
And it just spreads
Those
hate.
are things that people engage with. And then, like, people get fed these things. It's not that like say like the Facebook or the X algorithm is purposely trying to like make people radical in one way or another. It's that those are the things that people engage with, and it says, "Oh, this person likes this," so they keep on feeding them stuff just like that. So it's not that they're purposely trying to like. I think sometimes people in the middle would say, "Oh, they're purposely radicalizing people." No, it's that the algorithms are programmed to feed the people what they engage with. So it's gonna if you're watching things that are telling you that, I don't want to get, I don't want to make fun of people, but like anything,
Well,
if I'm gonna make something up. If you're engaged, if you watch a video that says teenage kids are going into Walgreens and getting wart remover and using it as a drug, obviously not really happening, but that's like the new drug. And then you watch this story, and then you watch another story on it, and then you keep on watching it. You're going to keep on getting these teenage kids teenage kids wart remover drug fads, and they're doing it for like recreation. And all of a sudden, now you have a bunch of kids that are actually going to do it because the algorithm amplified it, even though it wasn't really a thing. Like the algorithms tend to amplify things because that's what people engage with.
Yeah, like when I scroll through social media, I watch a lot of dog videos because I think they're adorable, and then all I get in my feed are dog videos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I have so many. I think it's because I went to grad school, so that put me in like the radical lefty circles. So I have so many people posting on my, popping up on my news feed. They're more left-leaning stuff, and then my algorithm starts showing me, Marxist queer feminist theory stuff all the time, and like how we need to bring down, deconstruct capitalism and all that. And it's like I don't click on any of this stuff, but I think it's because so many of my Facebook friends like are saying stuff like that that's what Facebook is feeding me.
Yeah,
They're like,
Yeah,
oh,
and
he likes
if
this
you're
stuff,
scrolling,
it's fine.
right, and you're scrolling and you just pause. You just
For
like
1
that person,
second.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
pause and you look at it. It's like, oh, the Facebook says, oh, he likes that. Let's give him
Yeah.
more of that.
Yeah.
I actually
It's not like
do
they're not trying to radicalize you. They're just saying, oh, must have caught his attention. He must like that. Let's feed him more of that.
I have a very downer, unpopular opinion.
Okay.
I genuinely know and think that our society is the rot has already spread through. We are totally fallen. Like completely. I don't think there's any hope for us to get back to what Dana was talking about, a point where the citizens of this country actually go back to some measure of objectivity or caring about facts. I think now it's just about my truth and my experience, and that's what counts. So and you can't have a society like that. You can't, because I think part of the, obviously there are things in this country that needed to go and needed to change and needed to be reformed, right? Like slavery, right? I mean, that needed to go, right? Racism, like institutional racism and laws, that are working against certain segments of the society. That stuff all needed to go. But I think what's happened is, and I see this more on like the left side, we need to deconstruct and tear down everything that might have been emblematic of the past that is rooted in traditionalism. And I think the issue with that is that they have no real alternative of what they're going to put in its place. All they have is whatever you feel is right, which is no way to actually have a functioning society, right? We might feel it's right. I might feel it's right when someone bursts into song to punch them in the face. That's not right. I can't do that. That's my truth, though. My truth is people who spontaneously burst into song should be punched in the face. But that's not going to work for society. We live in a free society. People should be allowed to burst into song randomly if they want to, regardless of how I feel about it. But we've reached a point where everybody looks at everything with not even what are the facts, what do I think about it? It's what do I feel about it? How does it make me feel? And that's all people care about. And that, I think, is also contributing to the radicalization of everything. Because once you go with your feeling, you're not interested in what the reality is. You just care about how it makes you feel internally. But yes, I think we are in trouble, and it goes beyond what's happening right now. You know, I saw Dana's little blurb that he put on with the V for Vendetta, the shorts, right? Yeah, that's only one part of that's one side of the story. I think this process began a long.
That's a fraction of one side of the story. I actually can I play a video for you? This is a Republican. This is a former Republican president. I'm not going to do much editing on this video. I think this podcast has turned into quite an important conversation. So I'm not going to do much editing on this. I'm not going to insert our little silly clips of the week and stuff like that. But this ties into what David just said, and I just want to give me 1 second. So this is Bush in a conversation on C-SPAN in 2011. If I can get a volume here.
Rational immigration policy eventually passed. I think there's going to have to be some time. What's interesting about our country, if you study history, is that there are some isms that occasionally pop up. One is isolationism, and its evil twin protectionism, and its evil triplet nativism. So if you study the 20s, for example, there was an American First policy that said, who cares what happens in Europe? Well, what happened in Europe mattered eventually because of World War II. There was Smoot-Hawley, which was a part of an economic policy, which basically said we don't want trade. In other words, let's throw up barriers. And there was an immigration policy that I think during this period argued we had too many Jews and too many Italians, therefore we should have no immigrants. And my point to you is we've been through this kind of period of isolationism, protectionism, nativism. I'm a little concerned that we may be going through the same period. I hope that these isms pass, which would then allow for a more orderly look at immigration policy. I do believe there will be...
Interesting. Kind of foresight of... I'll look at what the history, but also kind of like predicting what we're kind of going through right now, honestly.
Well,
you saying that made me think of that. Well, as soon as you said that, I thought of that video.
Well, I mean, it just seeing that former president just kind of, it really drives home for me. Like, another unpopular opinion I have is everybody's talking about threats to democracy, right? And like dictatorships and fascism. The orange guy did not start this. This started as soon as the Patriot Act passed. That was it. That was the government saying, you know what? Nobody in this country has any freedom, because if you don't have privacy, you don't have freedom. Every single thing we do is logged and tracked. So to me, what's happening now is just a natural progression. If the other party was in office, it may not be happening as quickly, but that process would still be trundling along, and people just wouldn't be so aware of it.
Well, people don't. I mean, Obama was using drone strikes against American citizens, and people don't forget that.
Obama deported the most immigrants in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
Of any president in our lifetimes.
Yep.
I mean, that's just fact. I mean, obviously, numbers-wise, who knows? Yeah. This administration may surpass that, but
what's happening right now? What's happening right now is unprecedented because of the fact that courts are stepping in some of these cases, and he's ignoring the courts.
And ignoring them.
So so right now he's setting a new precedent, and this is what I've always cautioned about when it comes to like politics and like wanting your side to win. Be careful whatever power you think you're going to give your side, because when you're no longer in that power and the other person gets that power, all these, conservative MAGA Republicans that are cheering a lot of this stuff on, I would be careful about that, because if and when, if his, strategy of trying to become America's new dictator fails, if and when a Democrat becomes president, don't be surprised if they try to do the same thing. And like two sides of the same coin, really. Like you always have to be careful about giving one person too much power because the next person that comes along could use that power against you.
I agree.
Yeah.
The pendulum always swings the other way.
Yeah.
It always swings the other way.
Michelle, you're very quiet.
Oh, I like to listen and learn.
Well, don't base your opinion on the commentating that Dana and I have done.
I will not. I have my own opinions on certain things, and I just try to, the work that I am in, I talk to immigrants every single day. They're taking care of our elderly, so I have really strong opinions on that. Yeah, I worry for our elders if there's a like if we're like if we were ever dropped in some of these other countries, we would also want to flee and go where we were safe. So I feel like people forget that these homes, where these countries that people are coming from, there are literal wars in their front yards. Like, terrible things are happening. You would want your family and everyone to come here too and be okay. And so I get that. I get that people want people to come here legally and have paperwork and all that. And I just hate the comment of these like illegals are stealing our jobs. I don't know that that's true. I've never met any illegal that has a job where they are on the books, and I also haven't met a person where I'm gonna just say it, where like the white person is lining up to get this job to, go work in this factory or do whatever because it's below them. Like I have a really strong opinion on the immigration thing because I see it every day. That's all I'm going to say about that.
I agree with that. I think one thing that bothers me though with the left-sided argument of, if we crack down on immigration and we deport all these people, who's going to pick our crops and who's going to do this and who's going to do that? And to me, that sounds like saying, I think people who are here illegally should be exploited. Like we need to have an underclass is what I hear them saying, is that, we should just only have people who are here undocumented. If they disappear, we're not going to have anybody to do these menial jobs. And it seems to me that the person saying that is of the opinion that that's what we should be doing. We should be exploiting people who come to this country because, like you said, Shell, they are trying to escape persecution or violence or war elsewhere. And I don't agree with that. So I'm not saying that I don't know what the answer is because I think I'm married to someone who's not an American.
So here's the thing with that statement though, is that a lot of the people the legal immigrants aren't taking those jobs. The ones that are coming here legally and working, they're not taking those jobs. They're doing jobs like Shelley's talking about. They're going into they're doing jobs that other people don't want to do, but it's not like they're not being fairly compensated for and they're not being exploited. It's the people that come over here that are sneaking over the border that are being exploited. And those are the people that take it because they honestly, I'm not going to speak for them, but I would imagine the reason they're taking those jobs as opposed to trying to go for a better job is they're afraid to get caught. So they're willing to be exploited to not get sent back to, whatever hell they're from. So I just think a little more logic applied to that. And generally I'm kind of this is where I'm actually more of a hardliner on immigration. I really think that people that are here illegally, that haven't gone through the proper process, that haven't got the documentation, they should be deported. I do not think that they should be rounded up willy-nilly without due process and sent to a concentration camp in El Salvador. That's not right. That's a human rights violation, in my opinion. I think that it should be done properly. I think that's why the courts have ruled you have to give these people due process. But I'm not anti deporting people. I think that the people that come over here that sneak over here illegally, they should be deported. I think there's people that have been waiting years for citizenship. There's people that are waiting for amnesty that have come here and done all the proper stuff and done the paperwork that are waiting to be here and work here permanently, legally, and they should have the priority because they've gone through the process the right way. But it doesn't mean you have to be completely callous and heartless and just send those people, disappear them off the face of the earth to a notoriously abusive prison camp where they may never see the light of day again. It's just not, it's not right.
I don't know when our hearts got so cold to people, like human to human.
It's because they don't face them.
Everyone is just
when
very
you face
cold.
someone, like I have my views on immigration because I've dealt with immigrants, whether it be through working on the school committee, whether it be through 14 years of teaching driver's education and teaching grown adults that come over here, or even foreign students that come over here and teaching them how to drive and hearing their stories. Refugees from Syria and Somalia I've heard the horror stories that they've had to endure and what they did to come over here legally, by the way. So I have a very firm belief that America is a place of opportunity, especially for immigrants. That's what we're built on, and we should give those people a chance when they come here. And I've worked in restaurants that quote unquote exploit those illegal immigrants that have snuck over here before or overstayed their visas. And it's not like I think a lot of times the view is, and I probably used to believe this too, that immigrants are criminals because they immediately broke the law when they came here illegally, and that's not true because coming here illegally as an immigrant isn't a criminal violation; it's a civil violation. So they're not breaking the law. So by saying that they should be punished like a criminal because they came here and snuck over the border, that's like saying you should go to jail because you went 5 miles an hour over the speed limit in your car. So if you honestly believe that person belongs in a prison in El Salvador, then you should also believe that you belong in prison every time you speed and you go 1 mile an hour over the speed limit in your car. Because that's the difference between a civil violation and a criminal violation. And sneaking into the country is not a criminal violation, it's a civil one. It's not criminal until they actually commit a crime. And yes, if they commit a crime, they absolutely should be arrested, prosecuted, and sent back to where they came from. I'm all for that. But it doesn't mean you tear families apart and you falsely accuse or blanket accuse 200 people of being in a gang when you have actual no proof because someone has a tattoo for their mother on there and you're saying it's an MS-13 tattoo and you throw them in a prison camp. That's not right. That's not what this country is supposed to be about. And to try to shut people down and for a president to say that people shouldn't speak up about it, that's completely un-American. It's supposed to be the First Amendment. We're supposed to have a right to speak up about that stuff when that stuff happens. Going to what Dave said when he said that celebrities have as equal right as everyone else to speak up, so don't we. We don't each have a right. I think about what Mom used to say. It's our duty. It's our duty to speak up when stuff happens like this. And I'm sorry. Sorry, guys.
It's all right.
Go ahead, take over, please.
David, what do you got?
Well, going back to what you were saying earlier, Shell, where you said, you don't know how people got so cold-hearted. I think with the immigration issue, I think, again, it's the media, right? Because what they're doing is they're not presenting, because immigration has a lot of different layers to it, right? It's a nuanced conversation.
Yes.
Every situation is a little bit different. It's not as cut and dry.
You mean it's not black and white? Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. But I think the media, what they do is they're focusing on the people that come here illegally and then do commit crimes. And they're picking, because it's the media, they pick the most sensationalized, horrific crimes. And that is what is shown, right? So in the average normie's mind, that's what's coloring and influencing their viewpoint on this topic. Well, I saw this on TV. Look what happened to Laken Riley. That person was supposed to be deported and they were here illegally and blah, blah, blah. And people see that and they get angry, understandably, right? Like, how can that happen here? That's not the way it's supposed to be. But that's what I think sets off that cycle is the media is never going to give you the full story. They're going to give you whatever they want you to believe. So if you're watching Fox News, you're going to get immigration story with a very certain slant. And if you're watching MSDNC, you're going to get a certain slant with how they talk about the same story, because they ultimately want to dictate what you think about what is going on. So they're going to drop certain facts, they're going to amplify other facts, and they're just going to curate the story to whatever they want their audience to hear. So I think that's what makes people so entrenched on these topics, because they're constantly exposed to it. And I can tell you from a psychological standpoint, we might think, even me, I consider myself an independent thinker, right? Like professional contrarian. I am just as susceptible to messages from the media as everybody else. So if I go through a period where I watch, let's just say Bill Maher, right? Whether I have my own opinion or not, constantly listening to the way that he would frame something in his perspective on it is going to start to change my thinking as well. Just like if I watched, not that I ever have, but like Tucker Carlson, right? Like on the other side, if I watched him on a regular basis, I might go into it with like, I already know I don't agree with this guy, but eventually if I listen to him long enough, he's going to be saying, oh yeah, some of that makes sense. And then it's going to start to change your mind. All of us are actually susceptible to that.
Am I just immune? Because I listen to Tucker Carlson all the time. I listen to Steve Bannon all the time. I always listen to what the other side is saying.
I listen to what everybody is saying too. But I think most people don't. Most people kind of gravitate towards who they particularly trust to give them in their, they think they're getting the straight story, right? This person's just going to tell it like it is. And, they're not really interested in, do you know how many of my friends that are more progressive have actually said, like, they straight up, I'm in line with a lot of my close friends on political issues. Some things I deviate a little bit. They have told me straight up, they don't want to hear that other stuff. Don't even engage me with this is basically the message. Like, I don't even want to engage with it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier.
Sad.
When people just pick and choose like their reality.
Yeah.
That's very
and it's
sad.
like, and again, I'm somebody that's not on the other side. I actually just look at, not everything's black and white. Like there's a lot to the issue that we have to consider. It's not so simple as saying it's just this.
Right.
But
wow.
That's not
sad
how a lot
that
of
you
people
can't
think.
even have a conversation. Like, that's sad.
People aren't willing to. We're unicorns.
But I don't I mean, I guess, and this is why, like, again, it's the people I'm close to. I'm not trashing my friends. I mean, I love these people. A lot of them I really like and respect and admire. But they are wrong when they say, "Oh, Dave, you just like to argue." And it's like, I don't really like to argue because I'm not trying to change your mind. You can think whatever you want to think. My point is, don't expect me to buy into it unless you actually have your receipts. And your receipts have to be more than just, I feel very strongly about this issue. I don't care how strongly you feel about the issue. I really don't. I feel strongly about certain issues, but I still have had to kind of scale back or change my own thinking when I find out information that is factual that doesn't really line up with what I previously believed. So I actually am a lot more open-minded than people give me credit for. It's just most people lead with their emotions and they're basing it on their emotions. And I am the kind of person, if you're just basing everything on your emotions, I immediately dismiss whatever you have to say. But if you're telling me facts, then you got my attention and I'll listen.
I think that's fair.
People that care about facts are going to respond. People that, but I think human, like the way we think and like humans naturally think, I think they do react to emotion. So when they see people being emotional about something, they just take that as credibility. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'll just, like Dana, you had a lot of emotion, clearly, excuse me, of what you believed, right? And
except my belief there is on fact-based experiences.
But that's what I was going to say is I agreed with you because regardless of how strongly you feel about it, you are expressing factual information. So that's what, for me, that's what gives you credibility. That's where I'm like, okay, I actually agree with what Dana is saying, not because he feels so strongly about it, but because everything, like, this is not what this country was built on. It is not the ideal that we're supposed to be striving for. We're not supposed to be snatching people off the street. Even if you are a criminal, you are supposed to get your day in court. You are supposed to get due process. That's what makes this country this country. That's what actual liberty is even in those instances where we think somebody may not deserve it, justice is blind and they deserve justice, whatever that might turn out to be. And that's not what's happening in a lot of cases now with that particular topic. So even though people feel very strongly about that, you know, if I was like on the fence, it wouldn't be their strong feelings about it and how they talked about it that changed my mind. It would be the information, the actual factual information that they're presenting. But there was, do you guys remember the fires down in LA?
Of course.
A couple.
Yeah.
So that was obviously, I'm very close to not LA, but close to California, right? So West Coast news tends to be pretty widely talked about here. That was complete mismanagement on the part of the government, local and state, because people had been sounding the alarm for years, including right up to like a couple weeks before that fire occurred, that we are in trouble and we need to address this. And at the local level, the mayor cut the funding of the fire department by $17 million.
I did hear
right?
that. Yes.
So there was a guy. He's a YouTuber, but he went out and he did on the street interviews with people from the county, and he was just. I mean, obviously, I think he had a certain political slant, but his questions, he was just asking people like, "How do you feel that your local government handled this? How do you feel the governor handled this?" And what struck me, he interviewed a woman and he had asked her, what do you think about how the governor has responded? And she said, well, you know, he's very eloquent in what he says. And I think that's what we need right now. And he's like, so you approve of the way he handled this? And she said, yeah, because he's very eloquent when he talks to us. And that's what we need. We don't need like what we get from the president. Like we get, this is somebody that literally is saying, I just want my leaders to tell me something, whether it's true or not, that makes me feel good.
That's not just a left thing. I was.
No, I know it's not.
I was literally just listening to a podcast yesterday that Pete Buttigieg was on, and it's a more right-leaning podcast, and they were saying, you know, make the pitch to us for why we should start voting for Democrats. And he's like, don't give me all the, like, you guys will like, stop being so, I forgot how he phrased it, but he was basically like, lie to me and tell me you're going to do stuff that you really know you're not going to do, but at least tell me something. Like people, for whatever reason, a lot of people just want to hear the right thing. And they'll cling to that. Even if they know it's probably not going to happen. Which is like mind-boggling to me. Like because there are ways to make sure things actually do get done, and putting in people in place that could actually do things and do good. But a lot of people just want to hear what they want to hear from people, especially leaders. So I'm not surprised to hear you make that statement. Like I've heard that from liberals and progressives, and I've heard that from super conservative and MAGA Republicans. You know, it happens on both sides because they just want to be told. They want to be told what they want to hear from their leaders. And a lot of times, well, I'll do this on a personal level from working in local government. Like people are more receptive when they just feel like they're being heard, even if there's nothing you can do. Like if there's me as a school committee member, there's literally nothing I can do to make a certain situation better. Like I can't magically make money appear for a program in the school out of nowhere. But if I can hear the parent out and talk to them and listen to their concern and tell them I'm wholeheartedly going to reach out to the state of reps, which I will do, but I also know that they're probably not going to be able to do much about it. They feel better just knowing that they've been heard, and they feel like, oh, that's someone I can count on, even though I'm literally powerless and really not doing anything. In reality, I am doing what I'm saying I'm going to do, and as far as reaching out to someone that I think would be able to help, but I know they're not going to. So people just, sometimes people just want to be heard, and they want to hear the things that they want to hear from their leaders. It's like a human brain trait, I guess. I don't know. But I've always had this belief that most people, I certainly don't fall in this category, and David, I certainly don't think you fall in this category. Shelley, I don't know about you so much, but I think most people want to be led. They don't want to lead. They don't want to be the one to take the initiative or be the one on the hook for something. They just want to be told what to do and taken care of, which is why you have a lot of countries around the world that are under like really strict authoritarian rule, and why we are at the risk of kind of the same thing, because I think we have a large segment of people that want to be led as opposed to taking the lead.
Well, I think we're already under and have been under authoritarian rule. It just hasn't been overt.
Yeah.
I think for decades now.
Deep state.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all joking aside, there is definitely, like, we definitely have classes in this country. And there is definitely a whole class of elites that, you know, they do not have to follow the rules that the rest of us have to follow. And Congress, I have our government. I believe in the system and the ideals of it and the way it's set up and how it's supposed to work. But I think the people that run it are really just self-serving. I don't think they're public servants.
There is a problem with that belief, though, because when you start feeling that way and you honestly start feeling that way and acting on that way, then you stop engaging with that system, and then you breed more of the same.
I have.
Have you guys ever written to like one of the senators or your reps? Have you ever had contact with them? No? About any issue? Yeah.
Mom
that's
wrote a letter to Hillary Clinton.
I've always been, I don't think writing to the president or the president's wife is going to do much good, but I have multiple times written and spoken on the phone to Elizabeth Warren, our national senator, Ed Markey, Stephen Lynch, who's on my U.S. House of Representatives representative for our district. I've spoken to, attended their town halls, as well as our state reps, because I've always felt like it's important to have some sort of faith in the system to make my voice heard to the people that are representing us. Otherwise, if we just all lose faith and just think they're only in it for themselves and they're not going to do it, then what are we even doing? What are we even fighting for? What's the purpose of voting? What's the purpose of doing anything, having any faith in this country at all? If we ever want to have some semblance of what we think this country is supposed to stand for and the democracy it's supposed to be, then we should be participating in those things and not just being ambivalent to it all and thinking it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't matter. They don't care. Like, I think you should make your voice heard.
But do you think people are defeated and that's why they're not writing and calling?
I was thinking that for a while, but I think more and more people are starting to wake up and making their voice heard. I think that's why for like 2 months, the mainstream Democrats, the bulk of the party, was doing literally nothing to stop anything that is just flat out unconstitutional, and that the only people you saw out speaking out was Bernie and AOC and Jasmine Crockett. You had like 3 people that are super left progressives that were the only people speaking out, and all the other mainstream Democrats were just going along with the flow. And I think once the constituency started making their voices heard and saying this isn't right, that's when you started seeing them kind of fall in line. And the Democrats, you'll hear them say, like I heard, was it John Ossoff say that, like, they don't have any leverage, they don't really have any power, and they don't, right? The Republicans have control of the House, they have control of the Senate, they have the presidency, they have the Supreme Court. I mean, they have all the branches of government. They have control of everything. So the Democrats have very limited power in what they can do. But they can do some stuff. They can speak out and speak up. Even something as simple as like what Cory Booker did a couple weeks ago when he broke the record for the filibuster and he spoke for 25 hours straight. That's symbolic and ultimately going to have like no effect. But it makes a statement at least. It lets people know, it lets his constituents know that he does hear them and he's going to do something to fight for them, try something.
But see, Dana, that's my issue. Those three people, not Cory Booker, not just him, but those other three you mentioned, Bernie, AOC, Jasmine Crockett, that's all they're doing. They're making a statement. They're performing. They're not actually creating any change. And I would argue, when I think of politicians that act like they care so much about what's happening to this country, the only thing I think the three of them really care about is their own brand. I don't think they actually care about the American people.
I don't necessarily know that. I think if you get enough people involved in a movement, they can make a change. I think if they can be whatever, they're performative. Yeah, sure, it's performative. But if they can perform enough and they can get enough people on board and they can get enough people more active and more engaged in the system, then they can make the change that they wish to see. And the alternative is you get someone that's like really crazy that incites violence. And do we really want to go into a full-blown civil war? I would much rather see the performative nature of someone that's calling for a peaceful rise up and political change as opposed to someone that's calling for violence in the streets and making the other side your enemy that needs to be like annihilated. That's not what we should be doing. So I would much rather see the more peaceful process of going around and being performative and speaking to people and getting people more actively and politically involved.
David, your rebuttal.
Are you telling me that people on the left don't incite violence? That's
it could happen on either side is what I'm saying. I'm saying it could happen on either side.
I mean, it is people on the left that have been like firebombing Tesla dealerships and stuff like that. I mean, that's
Tesla.
You stay away from those Teslas.
All right, well, it's not. We won't talk about January 6th.
Well, I mean, I think as far as January 6th goes, I think anybody that I have different feelings about that, because I think the people that went there, and if they even laid a finger on law enforcement, those people need to be in jail and they never should have been pardoned. Right. Mm-hmm. I do wonder, though, like some people, their only crime was they had the audacity to walk into the halls of power.
No, you're right.
They didn't.
You're absolutely right.
They didn't trash anything. They didn't
absolutely
do anything.
Right.
They just looked around and left.
You're absolutely right.
And then they're being rounded up by the FBI and charged with a crime.
Yeah, there was people that were literally just standing outside that got rounded up. You're right. You're absolutely right. There is a large swath of people that got arrested for no reason at all. But there was a very large portion of them that were violent.
Right. But it was striking to me that Congress, they can act quickly with stuff like that when their territory is invaded. They don't give a shit what happens to the everyday Americans. They're not nearly so passionate about bringing people to justice when it's their constituents that are suffering. But when somebody puts them at threat, then suddenly they can respond right away and they can make sure that people get justice. And that just increased my cynicism. Like, yes, I think January 6th never should have happened. I absolutely think it was like appalling just to kind of watch that, like the peaceful transfer of power being threatened. Again, not what this country is supposed to be about. But at the same time, just like listening and seeing our leaders, like now they can get off their asses and they can make something happen. But every other time they're just like, whatever, gridlocked, we have no power, we can't do anything, because they only care about themselves. They don't care about us, including Bernie. Yeah, I said it. He used to be like, we have to make the millionaires and the billionaires pay their fair share. Now that he's a millionaire, he's just talking about the billionaires needing to pay their fair share.
Oh my God, Auntie just said that yesterday. She said that exact
It's
thing.
a bad argument.
Oh my God.
David. It's a bad argument.
It is true. Look at his older...
They'll still say the millionaires need to pay their own share. He pays his own fair share. And who cares that he's a millionaire? So he sold a bunch of books. Are you kidding me?
That's the thing. I don't care. I don't care that he's a millionaire.
Aren't we supposed to be a capitalist country? Aren't we supposed to admire that and applaud that? Why are we
applaud
shaming him for making $1 couple $1 million
for
on
his
selling his book?
hypocrisy.
You know,
I'm
hypocrisy.
shaming him for his hypocrisy. When you rules for thee, but not for me, is basically what it comes down to.
Is he evading taxes? Is he trying to jump through loopholes? I don't think so.
I mean, he is a member of Congress. What do you think?
He's the most consistent person in the Senate. Whatever.
I know.
We're never going to see eye to eye on this. Bernie's my guy. He's always going to be my guy.
Data's guy.
Why do you think he even brought it up?
I'm not gonna take it personally. Like, I know a lot of people don't like him. Like, I'm not attached to Bernie the way that a lot of the MAGA Republicans are attached to Trump. Like, I don't take your attacks on Bernie as an attack on me. I think there are people that if you attack Trump, they take it as an attack on them. Which is what I was referring to yesterday's show when I said I posted my picture the other day and I got a message from someone and they told me I was un-American. And I thought, how is that un-American when I watched 4 years of people waving F Biden flags and F Biden signs, putting them up in there. There's a guy that lives around the corner that has a giant F still up on his garage, F Biden on his garage. Like, how is that not un-American? But me jokingly put something that I really didn't even do myself, but like imposing my picture over it as if I painted it. I'm un-American.
I just think that if any one person idolizes, because that's really what it comes down to, people idolize either president, pick one, it doesn't matter. People idolize them, and you should not have any idols in this world. And that, like, I mean, again, that's biblical, but you should not idolize anyone. So why do people like idolize?
They want a daddy. They want to be led. They want a daddy, and they want to be led.
People do not need to be religious to be capable of worship.
Very true.
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, it's in the Bible not to idolize. That's what I meant when I said it was biblical.
No, I know.
But yes, like that. But you have a good point. People worship Biden or who?
Well,
Trump,
I don't know
whoever.
I don't know how many people were worshiping Biden. To be fair.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There was no one.
For you,
trust me, there was no one worshiping. There were people praising him. There were people afraid to admit that there was a decline there, but no one was really worshiping Biden. Trust me. Come on, we're doing a thing. We're the thing. I mean,
Ultra mega.
All I'm saying is you shouldn't idolize either party or any one person. That's what I was trying to say.
You know the thing. These through South Africa and the thing.
You guys also have the same old man voice.
Come on.
That was my president.
Here's a deal.
Impression.
Come on.
I mean,
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I voted for Biden in 2020, and I was thinking, like, over the 4 years of that admin, like, who the hell is running the country? Because clearly it wasn't him.
No, he was not.
And I just, like, doesn't that make anybody else angry? Like, if you voted for him and he's clearly not calling the shots, he's clearly not capable. Why was it so hard for people to, like, use their eyes and say, yes, that person is in cognitive decline?
Because their fear of the other person drove them to support him. Like, the hatred of the other party's candidate was greater than their worry over his state and condition.
And clearly that was a mistake.
Huge mistake. Huge mistake. That said, I think many people can clearly see now that fear was warranted of what would be in a Trump presidency 2.0 from my perspective. And I was borderline. I mean, Caitlin was like appalled at me when I said I was considering actually voting for Trump this year or last year. And because I remember the first part of his term, and I disagreed with so many of his policies, but economically, I felt like from 2016 to 2019, pre-COVID, during Trump's presidency, economically, this country was doing extremely well. And for me at the time, I felt like if I blocked out what happened, and I shouldn't have been thinking this way, I don't think. But if I blocked out what happened in COVID and how horribly mismanaged it was, and I was just basing it on what I felt like his true economic policies were doing for the first term, I thought it was really beneficial overall for the American people. So I was willing, I almost did it, but I couldn't quite bring myself to do it. I almost voted for him last year. And that's what I mean when I say I'm open-minded. I really dislike Trump, but I don't have such hatred in my heart for him that I wasn't going to vote for him. I was really strongly considering it, but ultimately I couldn't bring myself to do it. And now in retrospect, I'm glad I didn't, because I don't think I should have. I think the COVID response was bungled. And I think that he's the person at the top. And when something like that happens, the person at the top has to take the blame for it when something goes that horribly wrong. And that should have been part of my decision-making process. So just based on that alone, I probably shouldn't have considered even voting for him for a second term. And I forget where I was going with this.
I mean, on that, I agree with you. I think when you're at the top, you have to accept the blame. And I think going back to the California wildfires in LA, like the people at the top, the mayor and the governor, were shifting the blame everywhere else, except and not taking any of it for themselves, which is just poor management. It really is. But what always struck me was, yes, his administration did bungle the beginning of COVID, but he also, I mean, Operation Warp Speed started under his administration. Yeah. So this vaccine that so many people that voted for him that they were against,
he's the one
that was like government overreach. He's the one who put it into place and got it going.
I also have always given him credit, as I thought his knee-jerk reaction, and I think unfortunately sometimes his knee-jerk reaction was wrong, but I think in this case it probably would have been right. His knee-jerk reaction in January or February, early February of 2020, before we had the real big problem of COVID, his knee-jerk reaction was to shut everything down and not let anyone and everyone was saying he was racist because of it. But his reaction to that in the immediacy would have probably been the right reaction and probably could have saved lives. Because, I mean, you look at someone like a country like New Zealand, which is obviously is a lot smaller and they're an island, but they immediately shut down any travel into their country, and they had like a total of 3 cases or 3 deaths. I mean,
yeah, they were very low.
Very low death rate. So I think his immediate reaction was to shut everything down, and it was probably correct. I don't know what his motivations were to want to shut everything down. I think maybe he was going to use COVID as an excuse to shut the borders down and let anybody in here, but it was still probably would have been the right choice as far as if we're just looking at, do we want to save lives? That probably would have been the right choice. Well, that said, a lot of the guardrails and stuff he had in the first term that were beneficial for the economy, I think a lot of the reason his economy was so good in the first term was some of the guardrails he had in place and the people he had around him advising him that he doesn't have this time around, which is why he has no plan B for the economic disaster we're heading towards now with the tariffs, because China does not need us. They're negotiating with other countries around the world that are not going to ever negotiate with us because they don't see us as a valid partner. And he has no plan B. He thought that all the countries were going to cave and give him the best deal possible, and they're not going to. So huge mistake not having some of the same guardrails and some of the same people around him this time economically, because now we're in a much worse position. And it's kind of unnecessary because he did a lot of things economically that were unnecessary for us. We don't have to be in this economic state. I think if he had taken more of the approach he took the first term, and I know some of my lefty friends would say he's doing the exact same thing. It's not. The approach he's taking this time is a lot more severe, a lot more aggressive towards other countries than he was the first time around. And we're paying for it now.
Going back to the COVID thing, Dana, I'm surprised that you and I didn't get it, because we left
Portland.
We left Portland, and Portland announced its first case in the metropolitan area the next day. And we went to the zoo. We went to the Celtics Blazers game. We did all the public stuff. We were everywhere. Yeah. Yep.
Good trip, though. It was a great trip.
It was a good trip.
Yeah, one of my favorite pictures of you guys is from that trip.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, if you really loved us, you'd take a sibling trip with us one of these days, but
whatever. Like maybe the one we're taking in 20 days.
Yeah.
All right, so we ready?
Are you going to make this a two-parter, or are you going to put both hours
I
on
feel like
the-
I really feel like this completely went off the rails.
Yes, I
As
was
far
not
as what the-
expecting
the
an
subject
extra
was.
hour of politics.
But I don't know. I think it was a good conversation. I think people might
Yeah.
enjoy hearing it. I think some people might be pissed off by it, but come at me, bro. Come at me. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to edit this episode other than cutting out some of the stuff that we don't need because it takes me like 3 hours to edit 1 hour of video. I'm not going to spend 6 hours editing this video. So
I don't think there's going to be much you have to edit anyway. We had very few long pauses.
no, I think this is actually a
was
really good
one.
conversation, and I think that yeah, I mean, people might listen to it over a couple days or whatever. They might break it
Yeah.
up themselves. I don't think I'd have to break it up.
Yeah, I'm fine with whatever you want to do.
You're
do
the
you think, Dave?
producer.
Yeah, I was
You're
gonna
the
say,
producer, so
You're the producer engineer, so
I mean, I do think hour 1 and hour 2 were very tonally different.
Very
yes,
simple.
that
That's
very different. Yeah, we had a lot of laughs first hour. Second hour was a little more.
I mean, I shed a tear. Jeez.
I know. I mean, I literally mediated. That's really all. I didn't have much to say, but you know what it is I don't you guys do a lot more research. I don't really dig in. I just so I can't talk a lot because I don't feel educated enough to be able to speak about some things.
All right. Well,
Well,
come
you know
back
what,
next week.
Joey?
Let's
You
do
can
it.
be-
Let's do an outro and then we can talk. And then,
Okay.
okay. So come back next week, everybody, when Dave does his subject, which we don't quite know yet. It's going to be a surprise.
Gonna be a surprise.
We'll see you next week on SibRib, the Sibling Rivalry Podcast. Be kind to one another. Have conversations with your family. Let them know you love them, regardless of their political beliefs. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. SibRib is produced by DS Entertainment Network and Dana Scott. Your hosts are David Scott, Dana Scott, and Michelle Zaborski. Our theme song is Alone Tonight by Ocean Drive, which can be found on creatormix.com. Be sure to check the description below for links to our social media, YouTube, and Spotify pages. The Sibling Rivalry Podcast uploads a new episode every Monday. Be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so that you can be made aware every time a new episode drops.